Hello YouTube, sorry. It is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about the 2020 South Korean post-apocalyptic action horror film directed by Cho Il-hyung. We have hashtag alive. This is a Korean movie. Obviously it's in a different language. I've been watching a lot of movies that are in different languages, but I mean some of the best movies worldwide are international movies. Not every movie is in English, so yeah, we got to do it for the channel. The dub is cringy, so I did just read subtitles all the time. It's kind of fun, though. It's like a book. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but let's get into the critic reception, plot, that type of thing. And getting into the plot, I mean, this is probably one of the more formulaic, simple films that we have watched off of this Scratch-Its, at least, because there's some pretty complex natures to a lot of those films, but then you get to this film, especially compared to Suspiria, which we reviewed yesterday. But compared to Suspiria, this is super simple. It's easy to get into. I don't know if it's that good of a movie, and I don't know. But getting into the plot, so Oh Jun-woo is alone in his family's apartment when zombies begin to attack and infect people outside. It's a normal setup for a zombie apocalypse, it's nothing crazy. When he inspects the apartment hallway, a neighbor barges in. He begs to stay, but becomes a zombie and attacks Jun-woo, and this is when he realizes he can't really trust anyone. Jun-woo pushes him out and locks the door, then watches a large zombie attack his neighbor through the peephole. This is a serious fucking thing. And it's so weird and it's so sudden how they kind of get into this story. The dude wakes up and then all of a sudden, boom, zombies are just everywhere. I don't really understand that, but yeah. Jun-woo then receives a message from his parents telling him they are safe, so at least he has hope that his family is going to be around. But Jun-woo blocks his front door with the fridge and posts a rescue request on social media. Everyone's pretty much been requested by the authorities to actually do that so people know their location, and if the rescue team eventually shows up, they can possibly find some survivors. By attaching his phone to a drone, he scouts his neighborhood and realizes it is now overrun. Obviously, there's like a lot of high tech in this movie. Not tech that's like new or anything, but yeah. Though the emergency power stays on, Jun-woo gradually loses access to phone networks, the internet, and running water. So now he's pretty much gone in full survival mode, which, yeah, is kind of the point of an apocalypse. You don't really have anything. So, but at least here you have a home, whereas in like a nomadic setting like The Walking Dead, they have to constantly move around. So one night, Jun-woo sees zombies taking down a police officer outside, so he sees that as kind of like a beacon of hope that there's actually like authorities around. He screams at them, leading a zombie to break into the apartment and knock over the fridge, destroying the food. So the food just goes everywhere. Now he's pretty much forced to starve. Before he was trying to like rationalize what he was going to eat, but now he just doesn't have shit. Jun-woo lures it into falling off the balcony. He resorts to drinking liquor to survive, but hallucinates about his family due to hunger and thirst. This isn't very nutritious. It's not. You're not really. What do I say? It's not very supplemental. I don't know. It's not enough. It's not necessary to survive. So obviously he starts to kind of feel himself in an unhealthy way. When the phone network is momentarily restored, Jun-woo receives a voicemail from his family recording their refuge being overrun. His rage causes him to leave the apartment and attack zombies, but when a horde attacks, he flees and barely manages to sneak back inside. He just wanted to take some anger out, He's kind of pissed off at the world right now because of the situation that he's put in. I would be too. So Jun-woo attempts to hang himself, literally kills himself, but stops when he sees a laser pointer's light. This girl saved his life. And really, this is supposed to be an apocalyptic movie, but as you kind of get through it, it kind of turns into a sort of love story, It is pretty interesting. The signal comes from Kim Yoo-bin, a survivor living in the opposite apartment building. Yoo-bin tries to set up a zip line between their apartments by tying a cable to her table and throwing the other end to Jun-woo, but it lands in the street and it gives someone, one of the zombies, a perfect outlet to get to her room. Jun-woo uses his drone to set up another line successfully, but an infected firefighter pulls on the cable, causing Yoo-bin's table to fly across her apartment, knock her out, and lodge into her balcony railing. And yeah, now someone actually has a way to get to her apartment, so that's not good. The zombie, anyway. The acting is kind of funny here. Like, it is funny how, like, people in different countries kind of portray drama, but yeah. like her getting knocked out by a table flying at her. I don't think that's really realistic, but yeah. Because it tripped her. It didn't, like, smack her in the head or anything. You know, it'd be one thing if that was the case. The zombie starts climbing the cable. Junwoo distracts him by sacrificing his drone, giving Yubin enough time to wake up and kill the zombie. She's a pretty badass character, obviously. Like, they're kind of setting her up to be that way. But yeah. We're already, like, close to, like, the end of the plot. I'm telling you, this is a simple story. Junwoo raids his neighbor's unit for food, clothing, and walkie-talkies, narrowly avoiding his zombified neighbor. He sends a walkie-talkie to Yubin, and the two talk and bond, and they're able to kind of get to know each other, and they're starting to form a relationship. Romantic or not, I don't know. I don't know if it ever really forms into that, but you can kind of sense the tension. Oh, I forgot to put my fucking image up. Literally halfway through the video. It's fine. We're good. I'm not re-recording. We'll just put it up. Sorry. I'm not editing either. You guys are getting an authentic experience. The only reason I really record is so you can see it on my videos page. Otherwise, it's just going to be on my live stream. So that's what we're going to do there. Plus, I kind of edit it, you know. Suddenly, the infected hordes become agitated, and a nervous Yubin accidentally knocks over a shelf. The noise causes zombies to converge at her door. Obviously, zombies are attracted by noise. That's like the common rule that they put in these zombie films, and yeah. In cinema, zombies are always attracted by noise. Junwoo distracts them by calling the unit adjacent to hers. Yubin says the 8th floor of Junwoo's apartment looks empty. She hasn't seen anything out. She hasn't seen any activity. The pair gear up, rappel from their balconies, and fight their way to the 8th floor, but the doors are locked and the zombies have followed them, so they need to figure out a way through there. So they make a run for it. They're like, we're not sitting here and succumbing to whatever the fuck this is. We are getting up in our apartment, and we're getting up in this floor and calling for help. Suddenly, a stranger emerges from the last suite on the floor and saves them, just out of nowhere. She thought it was vacant. There's actually someone up there. He gives them food and water, but it is drugged, and Junwoo falls asleep. You can't really trust anyone in this apocalypse, and that's something I guess this film kind of sets up for you to learn. The stranger binds the pair's wrist and locks Yubin in a bedroom with his restrained, infected wife, which is kind of fucked up. You're feeding your infected wife. She's not even really a human anymore. And that's kind of a topic that's touched on in a lot of apocalypse films. So, yeah. Junwoo wakes up and threatens the stranger, but he releases his wife's restraints from outside the bedroom, and now Yubin pretty much has to fight for her life there. So once Yubin goes silent, the stranger opens the bedroom door, only to find Yubin having wrapped the infected wife's head in fabric. The infected wife attacks her husband, and Yubin shoots them both, kind of putting them out of their misery almost, kind of being like the faithful, humane person in that situation. The gunshots attract more zombies. There's just a frenzy. Like, they're going to have to run. There's no way they can just stay cooped in this room. Yubin asks Junwoo to kill her before they get in. She wants to fucking end this. It's pretty much the cowardly way out, given how they want to deal with the situation. And by the way, this is a Netflix original. I guess I forgot to say that as well. That's important in kind of like knowing what the quality of the film is going to be. As he hesitates, they hear helicopters outside, realizing there's a rescue team, like the neighbor guy said. The pair rush to the rooftop, chased by the infected. Just before they are overwhelmed and they're about to die, an army helicopter holds off the zombies and carries the pair to safety. That's obviously kind of like plot convenience, but it had to happen, I guess, for them to live. A voiceover by an anchor explains wireless networks are being restored, and the military is rescuing survivors who made social media posts to give them their location. And I guess this movie's trying to show why social media can be helpful. I don't know. The film ends with Junwoo's social media posts hashtag stay alive, changing its wording to hashtag alive, which is where the namesake of the movie came from. It is heavily implied that the government restored control successfully, as only 50,000 infected remain and were isolated in a zone of the capital through closed bridges. The virus remains confined, and it is likely that the infected were then terminated and a cure was found. So I guess you kind of have to imply what the ending is, because we didn't really get an official ending. So let's just get into the plot, or the critical reception, sorry. This video is going to be pretty short, as there really isn't much to say about this film. It is pretty simple. It's a decent movie. pretty well acted, genuinely unsettling, and occasionally even funny. There are some comedy elements in here. Hashtag Alive proves the crowded zombie genre still has fresh stories to tell. I don't know. I mean, there are some interesting elements that kind of like differentiate this from like a Walking Dead or like a Zombieland. Is that what it's called? There's a couple of other movies. World War Z is another zombie movie, apocalyptic movie. There's not really that many in the genre, probably because there's only so much you can do. Hashtag Alive accurately captures the same panic, fear, uncertainty, loneliness, and isolation experienced by many during the pandemic's early days. That is a pretty interesting thing as well. This movie was released in 2020, so this was kind of during the pandemic, so yeah, it kind of like reflects that a little bit, so that's interesting. By taking a concept unfamiliar to the subgenre, Hashtag Alive transforms how zombie movies can be handled, as well as providing an exploration of the different circumstances individuals find themselves when dealing with the apocalypse. I mean, it's not just about like the zombie trope, it's really about an apocalypse in general. Hashtag Alive is an entertaining zombie flick that seems tailor-made for the time of coronavirus. And once you kind of get the context, you realize like, oh, this film's okay. It's cool. You know, that's what they're trying to paint, that kind of COVID picture. On top of its empathetic and socially relevant depiction of the Korean millennial condition, Hashtag Alive presents a narrative that feels unpretentious and accessibly entertaining. Hashtag Alive is a nifty little thriller that proves that you can always find signs of life in the most undead of genres. And the finale, far-fetched as it is, suggests that even a society atomized by isolation can find a connection. I mean, especially in the times of social media. And again, I feel like that's kind of the theme of the movie. You know, social media really helps connection in society. We can thank it for that. Obviously, there's a lot of negatives, and negative parts of social media have been portrayed too, you know, through art and whatnot. I don't know. It's an okay movie. I don't think it's great, but given that COVID was happening during the probably making and the release of this film, I think it's a really cool concept to kind of revisit that sort of genre, because we were damn near going through an apocalypse 3 years ago, maybe even a little over that, but yeah, 3 years ago we were pretty much in an apocalypse. So it's interesting to kind of revisit that, give our thoughts, give our perspective on kind of what we think of coronavirus. I don't know. I'm out, guys, though. Pretty solid film. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I gotta go. Have a good day, guys.